We're speaking with Beth Neale. She's the mayor of the village of Ilion. That we would set up a debate. Came pretty quickly as we have it underway. I was very surprised when I spoke with Andrew and he said, we're doing it today. But the village elections are what? Am I correct in saying they're next Tuesday? Is that right?
Yes.
A week from today.
A week from today. So let's start with you, Beth. Good morning. How you doing?
Good.
So tell us a little bit about you. You took the oath of office in Ilion in January, right?
Yes, I did. I've been trustee for 4 years, deputy mayor and mayor for 3 years, and look forward to continuing the projects I've already worked on.
All right. And also your opponent is Terry Leonard. Terry, good morning.
Good morning.
You're newly retired or in the process of retiring, is that right?
The end of June, in just a couple of weeks, I'll be retiring from Catholic Charities after 22 years and 12 years as a director there.
All right. So I'll start with you. So retiring, it seems like you really don't want to retire if you want to become mayor.
It's been referred to as jumping from the frying pan into the fire. But the village has always been something I've been very interested in getting involved with. But with family and my job, I never had the opportunity. I saw retirement coming up, and I saw the mayor's position coming up, and I said I really want to jump in and see what I can do.
And have you had any political experience at all, or just?
My political experience goes way back to pre-kids, and I was involved in the George McGovern campaign way back when. So politically, I've been out of it, but I have a lot of experience that relates to the mayor's position.
Got it. Beth, so why should you became mayor after the former mayor became a county legislator? So you were appointed. I guess you were deputy mayor. Was it? I remember there was a question of whether or not who would become mayor.
Right.
Was there a question with that?
Well, you would think the natural state of things would be someone who has been deputy mayor would already have known things, but I had a challenge from another trustee that, but anyways, it ended up being me as the mayor.
Okay. So why should people in Ilion vote for you to keep you in office? You've been there since January.
Well, I do have the experience. I've been liaison to every department, every commission. I've worked very well with everyone in the village structure. I've worked on many projects that affect the viability of the village, which, by the way, is still a very good village. And I'd like to continue. We do have many projects in the works, and I'd really hate to see them stop.
So tell me, why are you challenging her? Are you challenging her specifically, this administration specifically, or are you just jumping in? What are your thoughts?
Not necessarily the administration specifically, but there's so many things going on in the village. The infrastructure issues, the issues over the attorney. I've been doing budgets for 12 years, balancing a $1 million budget, and I looked at the budget that we have, and it's very difficult to read, very difficult to piece together, and I had a lot of questions about the budgeting. Fiscal responsibility is key with me.
And your thoughts on that, Beth?
Well, what you and some of your running mates don't understand is municipal finance is quite a bit different than standard business law. And when you have a complex village like the Village of Ilion with the water fund and the electric fund, the separate library fund, you do have a complicated budget. You do have line items for specific items that have to be met. That's why it's complicated.
Are you saying it's just complicated, or do you say that it's presented improperly?
It could be presented much more simply than what it is. We have our agency has an overall budget, and then you have cost centers within the budget, not four separate budgets. But so you can see the whole thing in general. But the mayor has kind of publicly indicated that she's not too high on my qualifications for the mayor's position.
That's not true, Terry. Not true.
Well, your Facebook page indicates that if you were looking for an executive director of a not-for-profit, why would you hire someone who has no experience there? So why would you elect a mayor with no experience? So,
it's a different thing, Terry. That's what I've stated. That's a different type of structure.
Okay. Now, if I could continue, the work that I do, I handle a $1.3 million budget. It's 85% government funded, federal, state, county, and local dollars. We balance budgets. We work with contracting grants. I work with 35 employees. I work with human service issues. I write grants, and I handle financial funds on a daily basis. So I'm not sure how it's so different in a municipal setting than it is in my not-for-profit.
How do you respond to that? Why is he not qualified in your
Well,
eyes?
it's not that he's not qualified, but you don't go from 0 to 60 in anything. And, you know, it would have been better probably if he, in my opinion, if he had run for trustee and gotten his feet wet with municipal law and municipal finance. It's not a matter of attacking someone and saying they're not qualified, but it is apples and oranges.
Yeah.
And it is serious. I've done this for 4 years, and the budget structure is the same now as it's been for I don't know how many years. It's not complicated because I've made it complicated. It's
Right.
complicated because that's how it is.
What about the, he mentions the issue of attorney's fees. And I've heard a lot about that. Of course, there's been a lot of talk about that. And that is, I'm going to stick to these guys just because they're going head to head. And then we'll bring in your opponent. Listen, the question is, why are the attorney's fees so high in Ilion versus Herkimer versus Frankfurt versus New York Mills versus, I mean, the numbers are pretty big.
And they have been big, and they've been cut down significantly over the last 3 administrations.
J.K. Hage is the attorney. The law
Right,
firm.
his firm.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's clear
But
that.
we're talking about like over 100,000 versus like $13,000, $14,000, $15,000 in some of
Right.
the smaller communities. That's
Sure.
a big difference.
It is a big difference, but there's also a bigger load that comes with Ilion. Like I said before, it is much more complicated. We have a municipal electric system, municipal water, and with that comes dealing with environmental issues, dealing with all the state agencies for regulatory reasons. It's not just about taking care of a trust fund for a certain department. It's much more complicated.
Yeah.
But what we have done this time is gotten it down to, now remember, it's 3 separate funds that pay for this. So the water fund pays 30, the electric fund pays 30, and the village proper pays 30.
Terry, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, we're paying 30%, 30%, 30% of a very large number.
No, it's 30,000, 30,000, and 30,000.
Okay, but it's over $100,000.
That's
Bottom line is it's over $100,000. I just do not see the need to pay that kind of money for a village attorney. If you're not calling on the attorney for everything and having them, we have the village attorney at most board meetings. They're called for everything. And I think if you get the right people advising the administration and forming committees, coming up with plans, you would not have to consult the attorney on every term. We have a New York State group, NICOM, that advises the mayors and the municipalities on how to do things. That's a service that's provided. So
It's also paid for by the village, by the way.
I really can have an issue with the price of the attorney at this point.
Let me
You
just
rebuttal,
interject.
yeah.
Yes, I will interject this much. We do pay a fee to NICOM. We do pay $4,000. And what they do is refer us to our own attorneys. They cannot make a decision. They can give us advice, they can give us suggestions. But bottom line, we have to go to our own attorneys. And the other issue is, you want to know why we go to the attorneys all the time, is because we have former officials and a current official who constantly is making accusations that we have to go back in history and prove the facts. There's where it lies.
Okay, Jim is on the line. Jim, are you from Ilion? Jim?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just like to ask the two candidates, what is the status of the former Dufo building in Ilion?
Good question. I mean, there was talk a while back that might be taken down and become a grocery store. What is the, right now it's used for kids to start fires in, I think.
Okay, now I may be wrong. I haven't researched that issue a lot, but I don't see, as a citizen myself, I see nothing happening with that building. Only heard the rumors that it was going to be a grocery store. So I don't know that anything is happening with that building, but certainly I would begin and start to research and see what can be done.
Mary, you want to address that? Obviously,
Yeah, please.
you would be
I've
privy to
been
that
working on
information.
this for 2 years. I've been in the building itself. I've been there with DEC, the State Health Department, just to make sure that we have a viable product that once negotiation with the owner and any entity that comes in, it could be used. Now, what we're doing right now, we have a project where we're doing the research to try to get some brownfield grant money in to get that cleaned up. That's 12.5 acres of village property that could be used for commercial purpose once again.
And wasn't there an offer on the table and the owner turned it down?
No, there was an offer, there was a developer that wanted to come in. The problem is, the cleanup for the brownfield project would be over $3 million. And this is on top of what the developer would have to spend to acquire some of the outlying properties to make the whole project come together.
Got it. All right, I'm going to take a break. We'll come back here in just a second. I do want to talk about the newsletter. We got into that a little bit because we had a lot of complaints called in about that. That's the newsletter that goes out in the utility bills, so we'll discuss that, and then give you guys a chance to talk about whatever you want before we hit the 8:30 mark. So sit tight, we'll come right back in 2 minutes. Beth A. Neale is the current mayor. She was deputy mayor and trustee. Terry Leonard is just retiring from Catholic Charities. He is her opponent on the Democratic side, and here we go. So why don't we start with, I'll go back to Terry. On the issue that was brought up on the air yesterday, and it's when Beth and I spoke yesterday, we spoke with her about it, and that is the issue of the newsletter that's going out. And in some cases it does get a little fiery. There were some issues in there about an employee that was let go, and some others. Obviously you've read it. It comes in the utility bill. What are your thoughts on that, Terry?
Well, I've been campaigning around the village, door after door, folks are talking to me about the letters in the electric bill. Many are saying they feel that it's campaigning on taxpayers' dollars. It's going on and on. I think, I'm not positive, but I think that I am one of the sheep's and wolves' clothing who is mentioned going around the village spreading riot lies and innuendos and manipulating. So I think that I'm one of those wolves in sheep clothing. And I would ask the mayor what lies and innuendos and manipulating she thinks I've been doing. It's been referred to a number of times that I'm a puppet of a former administrative mayor, that people are pulling our strings. This is...
Are you talking about Cushman? Is that who you're talking about?
I'm sorry?
Or another mayor?
I'll get to that.
Oh, Gil
Yeah.
Martin? Or
Mr. Gil Martin is the chairman of our Democratic committee in the village.
Okay. All right.
So I've been referred to as his puppet.
Okay. Are you his puppet?
I absolutely not. I'm coming in with my own ideas, my own desire to help the village. But yeah, I would question why the mayor thinks that I am, as we're campaigning, that we are talking
Do you feel that
manipulating.
the newsletter is something that is You feel it's campaign?
I honestly believe it's campaigning on taxpayers' dollars.
And Mayor?
Okay. Well, we'll go with this part of the newsletter. Terry, I am not calling you. I have never called you anything, but I'm going to say this much. This started in November, well before you came in. And yes, it is Mr. Gil Martin and that crew who have been attacking me from the beginning, before I even was appointed, not to want me to be appointed. You are not one of the sheep that I mentioned. But I will tell you that it is, going back to November, that whole group who's done this. And you know what? If you want to debate the facts, not you, anyone wanted to debate the facts, I've offered all of them to come to my office and sit down and talk to me. That is the truth, not what is being portrayed out there. It is not political. It is simply alliteration that I use to get through the message that you have to come and find out the facts. Not about you, not about them, the facts.
Here's a question that I would ask, and that is, it gives you, because you're a mayor, it gives you an advantage to make political statements, and maybe it's people that are political, maybe it's not your opponent, but they're making political statements. It gives you the advantage to place these on the taxpayer's burden, to place these in the utility bills. It does give you an advantage versus anyone else.
Well, Bill, these newsletters are nothing new, like I've said to you yesterday.
I'm not saying they're new,
No.
I'm saying they're wrong.
Well, that's your opinion.
It
is, but
yeah. It'll be the voters' opinion ultimately.
Absolutely
It would be an
will.
awful thing if this newsletter became the reason why people vote.
I don't
that would be
think that's the
unfortunate.
case. I do have several people who have called, several people have come in, and they wanted to know the truth about it. They said, listen, what's with the newsletter? They've come in, they've sat down, and they've discussed it with me.
Yeah.
Then they understood. It's not political. It's simply a matter of if you're going to be a responsible citizen, as I said yesterday, that you need to go out and find out the truth. Not listen to anyone else, not me, not Terry, not any other person. Find out the facts. Black and white proves it all.
The front page of the newsletter starts off with facts and details, and those are what I'm accustomed to seeing. It's as it continues on into the editorial, into the campaigning, that's really bothering me. So I feel that it's campaigning on taxpayers' dollars. So, and again, we have a difference of opinion there.
Yeah.
So.
I'll give you first shot. You have the advantage of being mayor. So, in a nutshell, I'll give you a minute or so. Why should the residents of the Village of Ilion stand up for you and keep you as mayor?
Well, you say advantage of being mayor, but also the responsibility of being mayor. I have handled many situations that are very tenuous right now. There are some right now that we're negotiating, and you'll see that in the news in the next couple of weeks. But these things have to be handled properly, and things need to move forward. And frankly, someone coming in with a group of people who no one has served before, you don't go in there and try to do something without being able to do the things that are there. You aren't going to open up a book and be able to negotiate some of these things with the state agencies that we have serious issues with right now. And that's where I'm coming from. I've done the hard work. I've learned what I need to learn, and I'm out there for the people.
Terry?
Yeah. And despite the mayor's lack of confidence in my abilities, I am coming into this with 12 years' experience of running an agency. Much of it is with government funding. We are running on three focuses: open and transparent government, fiscal responsibility, and getting back to the infrastructure issues that we have. We're running on back to basics, opening up the village hall, opening up the village meetings, getting the citizens in the community into the conversation, and really, I want to bring my experience, my past years of working with people into the village government, and I have every faith in my capabilities of doing that.
All right, I was waiting to see if either one of you would mention the big that the entire upstate looks at Ilion for, and that is Remington Arms. So I'll start with you, Terry.
Yeah.
Remington Arms, but also, there's a lot of talk about the potential of a new facility for Remington, which would be what would save them for the area. That could mean that Remington moves from Ilion to Frankfurt. You want to comment on that and comment on Remington?
I started my career, I worked for 20 years in Remington, and the entire decade of the 80s, I worked with the axe over my head of layoffs, short hours, cut pay. I know what it's like. I sympathize with those fellows who are working under that, because I worked for that for 10 years. The decisions about what's happening with Remington are being made on a very high level, at very business mentality levels. I would do everything that I can to keep Remington here, and working with our county, town, village officials, state officials, to develop that pumpkin patch, to bring businesses into that area, collaborating and consolidating efforts, and just that pumpkin patch is wide open for development. And I would do everything that I can to. I work currently with every county leader and state senators, and I will continue that networking to work on that pumpkin patch and development.
Beth.
Well, I am working with these issues right now, have been. The difference is that when you're negotiating some of these things and trying to come up with some plans for Remington, you aren't supposed to be out there talking about things that don't exist yet. And the other thing is, what you need to do is try to focus on Ilion, not the pumpkin patch. You live in Ilion, I live in Ilion. We're supposed to represent Ilion. There are many things associated with the possible move to the pumpkin patch that may not be feasible, but you don't know that yet. And this is where I'm saying, I already am in the middle of all of this discussion and workings for Remington. It's already going on, but you don't know that yet.
Okay, technically my question was not should it move, but what if it did? How would you handle that and the potential? Because ultimately, no matter which one of you becomes mayor, neither one of you will have a say in it. Unfortunately, it seems to be that way. That's the scary part of living with such, Herkimer County's largest employer and really one of the great employers of the region. So, okay, people, Fair? You guys want to
Absolutely.
shake hands,
Absolutely.
hug, we could sing Kumbaya, the election
Yeah.
is just around. Is it this Tuesday is the,
It is
the election?
Tuesday.
So just a few days,
1 week from today,
and it will be all over.
from noon to 9 p.m.
Or for one of you, just beginning. All right, guys, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it greatly.
Thank you very much.
Both Terry and Beth coming in, both running, Terry Leonard and Beth Neale running for mayor of the Village of Lillian. Back here in 2 minutes on WIBX.